Welcome to Top 30. Here are today's 30 stories in 30 minutes. In today's special edition of Top 30, we put a spotlight on amazing animals who have inspired and fascinated us. Like this cat, who is being honored for her historic feat. On October 18, 1963, a French feline named Feliset became the first and only cat to ever go to outer space. The French space program chose Feliset out of a group of 14 possible astrocats. After completing her training, Feliset was then rocketed 97 miles into space, where she may have enjoyed but probably hated 5 minutes of weightlessness before her capsule safely parachuted back down to Earth. And she's about to be anonymous no longer. A recent Kickstarter campaign just successfully raised over $58,000 to create a statue of Feliset to be displayed in her hometown of Paris. According to the Kickstarter page, this statue should serve as a reminder of the sacrifices made by all animal astronauts throughout the space race. Cat, astronaut, hero. May the statue of Feliset forever encourage other French cats to reach for the stars. When Trio Animal Foundation in Chicago discovered Holland, she didn't resemble a dog at all. In fact, if she wasn't so horribly matted, you could tell she was female. In a Facebook post, Taff said, "A shell-like casing of matted fur covered most of her back, and it looked like an exoskeleton from behind." Trimming Holland's exoskeleton was no easy task because she had to be sedated to undergo surgical grooming by veterinarians. Holland's transformation took doctors 2 hours. Other than her matted fur, Holland had no major health issues, and with a little love, she was transformed and adopted. A new look and a new life. A 35-year-old circus elephant finally has a shot at a peaceful life. Nosey the elephant was just 2 years old when she was separated from her mother, shipped to the U.S., and sold to perform in traveling circuses. For the majority of her life, Nosey has been owned by Hugo Liebel, who runs the Orlando-based Great American Family Circus. Liebel has over 200 citations for violating the Federal Animal Welfare Act, 16 of which were related to Nosey's condition. But all that changed when Nosey was seized by a judge in Lawrence County, Alabama. Federal inspectors found thickened areas of dead skin on Nosey and other signs of physical abuse. Nosey was transported to an elephant sanctuary in Tennessee while her fate is decided in court. Staff said Nosey was greeted with fresh produce, bamboo, and banana leaves, and she's now exploring her new surroundings. PETA has also filed a lawsuit against Liebel to make sure Nosey's stay at the sanctuary is permanent. The U.S. Marshals awarded a Purple Heart to a member of a Florida sheriff's office, but there was something different about this ceremony. The recipient was Casper, a canine police dog who took a bullet for his handler. An armed robbery suspect opened fire on deputies back in May, and Casper was hit in the shootout. He was shot in the left hip and needed surgery to remove the bullet, but returned to duty as a bomb SWAT and patrol canine after he finished rehab. His handler was there for the ceremony and says he treats Casper like one of his own children. Congrats to Casper. It just goes to show you don't have to be human to be a hero. A mother's love for her children is overwhelming, even in the animal kingdom. A baby elephant was trapped in this abandoned well in India overnight. The calf was alone and getting anxious. Forest officials arrived to the scene and worked for 5 hours to try and free the elephant as a crowd gathered to watch. Rescuers brought in a backhoe and helped clear a path for the young elephant to eventually go free. And this is what happened next. Take another look, just in case you missed it. The mother elephant raises her trunk to thank and salute the rescuers before the entire family walks away. Just another example of the bond between a mother and her child. In today's special edition of Top 30, we put a spotlight on amazing animals who have inspired and fascinated us. Like these pets who have taken Instagram by storm. You may not have heard of Steve Gregg, but Wolfgang2242 is a name known to over 726,000 Instagram followers. Sally the duck, Stuart the rabbit, and Bikini the pig, just some of Steve's 9 senior pets. But 5 years ago, there was only one pet, Steve's beloved dog, Wolfgang. Well, Wolfgang passed away, and his death gave way to the birth of this bustling household of Instagram stars. Fox 5 New York spoke to Gregg about the experience.
One day I decided if something good was to come out of his death, maybe another animal got to live because he died. So I went to the shelter and I adopted the oldest, least adoptable dog they had, and it was immediately healing. Like, immediately it felt like his death had a purpose.
Now Steve, a full-time accountant, speaks at events like PetCon, meeting the fans of his furry family. A beautiful story that has inspired others to adopt senior pets.
So where did your family's dog come from? Well, scientists say that they've traced history about 750 million years to find out where your dog and cat came from. Actually, they believe that all animals evolved from an organism similar to a modern sponge. The research was published in a journal called Current Biology. Scientists did advanced statistical analysis on amino acid sequences found in modern species. They then used those results to construct family trees that date back millions of years. The scientists say that they believe their data is conclusive, but there are other researchers who argue that animals evolved from a jellyfish-like creature. Both sides do agree that searching for this answer is helping to figure out how early ecosystems evolved into what they are today. I don't know about your office, but pretty much every office I can think of would be improved with puppies. If you can believe it, office animal parties is now a trend. According to the Washington Post, Alan Beck, director of the Center of the Animal-Human Bond at Purdue University, says, quote, "When you talk to another person, your blood pressure goes up. But when you talk to animals, it goes down. And thanks to this, animals naturally neutralize stressful environments. Not only that, office petting zoos help people disconnect from the technology that consumes their lives. They're not just beneficial for workers, but also employers because they help workers forget and forgive the grueling hours spent on the clock." Charlie Chayokhan-Kitman, a program manager at DataPrize who's enjoyed the benefits of an office petting zoo, says, quote, "I juggle multiple tasks, so it's nice to juggle multiple puppies instead."
6-year-old Roman McCon has a passion for helping unite shelter dogs with their forever homes. Currently, Roman's on a mission to find a home for his 4-legged friend named Legend because the dog's deaf. Legend is a 5.5-year-old Labrador Retriever currently at the Skagit Valley Humane Society in Burlington, Washington. Roman made a heartwarming video that went viral asking for people who have experience with disabled animals to come forward and adopt Legend.
Name's Legend. He needs a home that's good, that's experienced with a dog that's deaf.
Well, with a plea like that, I'm sure Legend will have his pick of the litter.
So they eat your slippers, your homework, your leftovers, and even your sofa cushions. So why do dogs have to chew on everything? Well, there's a new scientific reason why man's best friend can't keep his teeth to himself. Colin Tennant said chewing for a dog is like a human opening a door and looking into a room. People are nosy and so are the dogs, but they investigate with their mouths because they don't have hands. Of course, other things like separation anxiety and psychological distress can amplify this behavior in some dogs. Tennant added that dogs often chew on items in the house with human odors because those are attractive. So the next time you catch yourself yelling at that family dog for chewing up your favorite pair of socks, just remember, they're animals.
A one-of-a-kind hound dog proves home is where the heart is. This is Gumby. He was brought to the Charleston Animal Society in South Carolina as a stray in 2014. The staff was elated when in no time he was adopted, finding his forever home. Well, it turns out forever was just a few days. Gumby escaped his adopted family and showed up back at the shelter. He was adopted out again, but escaped again after a couple of days. Okay, third time's a charm. He was adopted out yet again and escaped in less than a week. In 1 year, this Houdini-like hound returned to the Charleston Animal Society 11 times. Finally, the staff got the message. Gumby's whole life is at that shelter. He knew exactly where his family was. He was just waiting for everybody else to catch on.
In today's special edition of Top 30, we put a spotlight on amazing animals who have inspired and fascinated us. Like this dog, whose miraculous rescue turned firefighters into heroes. Canadian firefighters are being called heroes after saving a beloved family pet after it fell through thin ice. The pooch's owners were walking it near a creek when they took the dog off its leash. That allowed the dog to jet onto the thin ice where it fell through. The animal became trapped and firefighters had to be called to the scene. In order to save the dog, a firefighter slid across the ice on his stomach with a rope around his waist. Once he reached the dog, he pulled it to safety so the pup could be reunited with its family.
8-year-old Sophia Spencer loves bugs, especially grasshoppers, so much so that kids teased her enough that she almost gave up her passion. Sophia's mom wanted to encourage her daughter, but didn't know how, so she wrote a letter to the Entomological Society of Canada asking for help. The ESC tweeted an image of the letter with the hashtag "Bugs are for girls," and Sophia was flooded with supporters, including Morgan Jackson, an entomology PhD candidate. Together, Morgan and Sophia wrote a paper for the Annals of the Entomological Society of America about the role Twitter can play in helping advocate women in science. In the paper, Sophia said, "It felt good to have so many people support me, and it was cool to see other girls and grown-ups studying bugs. Being supported always feels good, which is why we stand with Sophia. Hashtag bugs are for girls." In today's Hometown Stories, we look back at animals who have inspired us and touched our hearts. Like these police dogs who train at a very unique location. According to Fox 13 Tampa Bay, Busch Gardens lets the Tampa Police Department take over its Adventure Island to train its canine unit once a year. Since the dogs work in Florida, often that means getting in the water to catch the bad guys. Police officers can control the intensity of the waves, creating a challenging environment for the dogs. The dogs, however, are unfazed. Officers say they're like prize fighters and overcome every obstacle they face. Some more dogs who go above and beyond to serve their human owners are veteran service dogs. According to Fox 46 Charlotte, 3 local veterans were recently awarded service dogs to help them cope with their PTSD. Peter Brewer, a Marine Corps vet, founded the One Warrior One organization to pair vets with service dogs. He said he contemplated suicide when he returned from service, but his dog, Anka, gave him a reason to live. Now he's helping other vets get that same feeling of companionship that helped save his life. In our final story from Fox 10 Phoenix, a community came together to make sure an orphan mountain lion got a second chance at life. The adorable cub was first spotted in the rural town of Cornville, Arizona. When residents noticed the frail and dehydrated cub, they called the Arizona Game and Fish Department, who then rescued and treated it. Game and Fish officials said the cub couldn't be released back into the wild because it was abandoned so early in life. Now they are looking for a sanctuary or zoo to house the now thriving cub. In case you've ever wondered why you should adopt a rescue dog, Lauren Malone and her daughter Katie might be able to show you. Lauren posted the video to Facebook with the caption, "And this is why you should adopt a rescue dog, or 2, or 3, or 4.
You're so cute. Like I say, you're so cute.
Lauren and Katie adopted Oakley because they believe the most heroic thing you can do for an animal is adopt, not shop. After the papers were signed and Oakley was theirs to take home, Lauren captured video of Katie singing their new pooch to sleep. The adorable pup found his forever home through the group American Lab Rescue, which pairs Labradors and Lab mixes with perfect families, just like they did with Oakley. It's super rare, but elephants can get cancer, and one elephant is being treated with what vets are calling an unprecedented approach. A 50-year-old Asian elephant from the El Paso Zoo in Texas named Juno has now undergone 2 successful rounds of electrochemotherapy. She was diagnosed with a malignant mass in her right mammary gland in January, and according to the zoo, it's only the 2nd time a cancerous mass in an elephant has been found. One vet said the El Paso Zoo is on the cutting edge in terms of the cancer treatment they are providing Juno. This type of treatment on large exotic animals isn't getting done anywhere else, not even Europe. It's incredible. The zoo says using ultrasounds and x-rays to determine if the cancer is spreading isn't possible because of the elephant's size. But good news, they do expect Juno to survive, and we're rooting for her.
In today's special edition of Top 30, we put a spotlight on amazing animals who have inspired and who have fascinated us. Like this animal sanctuary that's for bigger animals. There are shelters for unwanted dogs and cats, but some animals need more space. One woman in Indiana is giving them just that with Erin's Farm. It's a rescue operation for farm animals. Erin Jans has taken in about 150 farm animals that were mistreated or headed for the slaughterhouse. There are about 60 chickens and ducks. The property is also home to several horses, goats, and cows, and even a llama. There's also Boo, a 300-pound pot-bellied pig whose owner had to give her up because of a city ordinance. Jans employs a lab technician full-time. They get help from several vets with different specialties. The farm is strictly not-for-profit. It offers dinners and dances for adults and classes for kids to help pay for food and vet bills. The 33-acre property used to be a slaughterhouse. Now it's a place for animals to get a second chance.
She's 8 years old, a national hero, and wears Doggles. Check out Frida. She's a rescue dog that works for the Mexican Navy and is quickly becoming a rock star in that country. Frida sprung into action after the devastating earthquakes in Mexico, and the pictures of her wearing her Doggles vest and boots have gone viral. In fact, people are selling Frida stuffed animals, and there's even a petition on Facebook to get her picture on the 500 peso bill. During her career, she's helped rescue 12 people during natural disasters, and during this latest tragedy is providing people with a sense of hope. A stray dog crashes a wedding and ends up finding his own happily ever after. You can't make this stuff up. For Marilia Peroni and Matthias Gomez Martins, their wedding day was already full of surprises. It was raining, and they had to move the entire ceremony into a tent. That was only the beginning. As the music began for the bride to walk down the aisle, the crasher of all wedding crashers sauntered in, a muddy, stray dog. Any bridezilla would have freaked out, but not in this case. The dog was calmly escorted out. When Marilia and Matthias were about to exchange their vows, guess who came back in? This time plopping down on Marilia's veil for a nap. Crashing their wedding clearly tired this dog out. The best part of this story is the newlyweds were so unfazed by their surprise guest, they invited him to the reception, and afterwards they realized they didn't want to see him go. The muddy stray that messed up their wedding day was a keeper. The Martins adopted the pup and now hope their story will inspire others to adopt as well. Mark Imhoff changes lives with his haircuts, even though his clients are dogs. Mark, best known as the Dog Guy, is a New York City groomer who gives the red carpet treatment to rescue dogs so they can feel as good as they look, which boosts their chances of finding their forever home. Mark started grooming displaced dogs after adopting his own. Mark told Mental Floss, "A simple shower just lifted her spirits, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if someone could go groom shelter animals? And it became me." Mark's been doing this for 2 years, and you can rescue some of his best work at the animal care centers of New York City.
A member of the animal kingdom, often thought of as a pest, is actually smarter than we thought. Pigeons can understand space and time, according to a new study from the University of Iowa. Researchers trained the pigeons to recognize lines on a computer screen. The birds were able to recognize how much space the lines took up and how long they were visible for. The finding is significant because while people use the cortex of their brains for those tasks, birds don't have a developed cortex. One of the study's authors said, quote, "Those avian nervous systems are capable of far greater achievements than the pejorative term bird brain would suggest." A growing number of scientists think that animals can make decisions that we used to think were just for humans.
Here's a love story that'll tug at your heartstrings. Toronto residents Curtis Cluett and Nicole Simone fell in love in part over their shared interest in rescuing animals. In 2012, Nicole started a nonprofit rescue called Redemption Paws, an advocacy group that helps find dogs homes by showing off their personality with professional photos. After Hurricane Harvey, Nicole and Curtis sprung into action with Redemption Paws and drove down to Houston to rescue 39 pups. When they returned, Curtis took Nicole to a remote area of a nearby park where her friends and the dogs they rescued in Houston were waiting to help him propose. Everybody loves a good love story, especially when it involves adorable dogs. Sam Rhodes returned from Iraq in 2005 a broken man. He'd been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and didn't know how to cope. Until he was introduced to equine therapy. He says working with horses helped him survive, and he wanted to share it with other veterans. According to the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, between 11 and 20% of soldiers returning from Afghanistan and Iraq suffer from the debilitating effects of PTSD. HuffPost reported that 56-year-old Rhodes said, "I spent 30 months in combat. It affected me more than most." Inspired by his own experience, Rhodes runs Warrior Outreach in Fortson, Georgia. The program helps both veterans who suffer from PTSD and their loved ones to teach them the basics of horse riding and care. Rhodes' nonprofit is an extension of himself and his experience, and he hopes it can teach people like himself how to bridge the gap between their traumas and their futures. Thanks for watching. You can catch up on past episodes of Top 30 now on Hulu. You can also download the Top 30 mobile app and visit our website. We want to hear from you, so connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, follow, and subscribe to @Top30TV for interviews and exclusive web content. We'll see you next time on Top 30.